Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the sheer scale and intricate mechanics of a truly relentless green ocean stretching across South America. We're talking, of course, about the Amazon. It's literally an unstoppable biological engine that shapes our entire planet. I mean, for over 50 million years, this massive living labyrinth has been drawing down carbon from the air and exhaling the very oxygen that sustains, well, nearly every creature on Earth. Think about it. Every single leaf is a tiny solar panel, and every root acts like a lung. Let's dive in and see how this incredible machine actually works. Okay, so let's jump right in with a pretty fundamental question. When we look at this vast, rumbling landscape, a place where brutal storms tear trees straight from their roots and lightning ignites absolute infernos, we kind of have to wonder, what if the true intelligence of a forest doesn't reside in a single creature, but rather in the threads that bind them all together? This is an environment completely forged by extreme pressure, and surviving here, well, it requires some deep, interconnected brilliance. Just to wrap our heads around the unfathomable scale of this ecosystem, let's look at the numbers. We are talking about over 2 million square miles. This massive carbon vault holds the blueprint for biodiversity, literally including natural compounds that form the basis for medicine sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now. Within this vast green ocean, you're going to find 1 in every 10 species known to science. It's wild. Some of these creatures never even touch the ground their entire lives, while others are thriving in soil so deep and dark that sunlight has literally never reached them.
Now, to survive in an environment this intense, power isn't usually loud. Actually, it's completely silent. Just consider the contrast between two absolute masters of stealth. Down below, you've got the jaguar, a compact, water-loving cat with a bite strong enough to literally crush skulls, traveling along these invisible highways of scent. And then, right above, the immense harpy eagle is ruling the canopy. It weaves tightly through the trees to snatch monkeys mid-motion with talons that are, get this, the size of a grizzly bear's.
But movement here isn't always about speed, and the sloth is a perfect example of the ecosystem's incredibly tight, closed-loop cycles. Here's a creature wrapped in green light, literally tinted by symbiotic algae living in its fur. Just once a week, it performs this very careful, slow-motion crawl down its home tree, for one reason, to defecate at the base. This waste then directly fertilizes the roots that feed the very canopy it lives in, closing a perfect cycle of return. Talk about living at the speed of moss, right?
Moving on, down in the dim green light of the Amazon, things like color and taste aren't just random. They're actually strategic currencies. Take the toucan's vivid bill. It's not just for show. It's a heat radiator pulsing with blood to cool the bird down. Or look at the heliconia flower and the hummingbird. They've evolved side by side for centuries just to read each other's colors. And the cacao tree? It trades sweet pulp to animals so they'll scatter its seeds. And those same seeds were once literally used as currency by ancient human cities. Imagine counting your wealth in chocolate.
Let's drop down to the jungle floor for a second and see how this all builds into an incredible contrast between raw force and masterful design among the forest's tiny architects. On one hand, you have the bullet ant. It guards its colony with a venom so agonizing it's literally described as feeling like waves of fire. Then, on the other hand, the leafcutter ant represents sheer agricultural genius. They don't even eat the leaves they cut. Instead, they use them to farm an underground fungus, and they protect that crop with natural antibiotics secreted on their own bodies. A single colony can recycle 12 tons of vegetation in just 1 year. So, driving all of this constant motion is, of course, the main artery itself, the Amazon River. Born way up in the icy Andes, it flows 4,400 miles all the way to the Atlantic. But the volume is what's truly staggering here. Every single second, the river releases over 29,000 cubic meters of water into the ocean. Just to put that into perspective, that is more than the next 7 largest rivers combined. It drains a fifth of Earth's fresh water, water that eventually circulates the entire globe to stabilize the climate systems we rely on every single day.
Because of this massive, overwhelming scale, the ecosystem relies heavily on collective intelligence. Out here, survival is very much a community affair. You've got marmosets sharing the labor of raising twins and actively calling out to others when they find food. Spider monkeys are using their prehensile tails like extra limbs to swing swiftly in these complex, split and reunite groups. And quaddies? They forge in highly coordinated waves, flipping stones together rather than competing against each other. It's like the forest's mind is one massive collective being.
But when dusk falls, the rules change completely. Survival immediately shifts to those who pass unseen, the true masters of the shadows. You have the solitary cougar, silently marking vast 100-square-mile territories. Then there's the margay, which is essentially a cat that thinks it's a monkey. It can rotate its ankles 180 degrees to climb headfirst down trees, and it even mimics the cries of baby monkeys to lure in prey. No way, right? And the spectacled owl sits there completely motionless, using its specialized facial feathers to triangulate prey using sound alone.
Now, what's especially fascinating is the deep memory recorded in this landscape, both geological and human. Think about this. 65 million years ago, this whole area was a vast inland sea. As the Andes Mountains pushed upward, all that water was forced east, carving out the river we know today. But maybe even more amazing is the human history here. Hidden beneath the canopy are the traces of massive pre-Columbian civilizations. These early engineers built flood-resistant geometric causeways and circular villages that were perfectly synced with the changing seasons.
And those ancient humans actually left behind a forgotten science that we're still learning from today. In fact, it might hold the key to our own modern agricultural challenges. They essentially hacked the harsh, nutrient-poor jungle soil to create something called terra preta, or dark earth. By mixing charcoal, bone, and organic waste, they literally locked carbon straight into the ground. This rich soil sustained massive, dense populations long before the jungle ultimately reclaimed those cities. And honestly, even today, crops grow taller and stronger in those exact ancient, human-made patches.
Down among those flooded, reclaimed plains lurks an apex predator that perfectly matches the river's sheer mass. I'm talking about the green anaconda. This is the heaviest snake on Earth, weighing up to 500 pounds and stretching 30 feet in length. It moves like a living current, just sitting nearly submerged, always watching. It doesn't even need venom. It maintains the river's balance through raw, terrifying constriction, easily taking down caimans and capybaras with sudden, overwhelming strength.
But let's pop back out into the light, where color tells some incredible stories, not just about biology, but physics and diet too. Take the brilliant crimson of the scarlet ibis. It isn't genetic. They're actually born brown and literally steal their red color by eating pigment-rich crustaceans. The green iguana shifts its shade depending on its temperature and mood. And the famous blue morpho butterfly? Well, it doesn't actually have blue pigment at all. Its microscopic wing scales physically bend light to create that crazy metallic turquoise flash.
Of course, in the Amazon's relentless arms race, chemistry is fully weaponized. And we see two completely opposing strategies here. The eyelash viper hides in perfect stillness. It uses flawless camouflage to deliver a lethal, hemotoxic ambush in less than a second. Meanwhile, the poison dart frog takes the exact opposite approach. It actively advertises its lethality in broad daylight with these bright electric colors. And the craziest part? The frog's toxins are borrowed. It concentrates deadly alkaloids directly from the toxic insects it eats.
All of this brings us to a pretty profound lesson. The indigenous Huaroni people of Ecuador embody this ecological balance beautifully. They read the forest the way we would read a book, through sound, scent, and shadow. When a warrior fishes, feeling the pull of the water without even using a rod, it proves that true mastery of this incredibly harsh environment doesn't come from forcing your will upon it. For them, survival isn't conquest. It's an ongoing, respectful conversation with the land itself.
Now, if you aren't deadly and you aren't an apex predator, you absolutely have to be invisible. And the optical illusions out here are just mind-bending. The glass frog literally wears transparency as armor. It can redirect blood to its liver just to erase its own shadow, letting light pass right through it. And then you have the leaf insect, which uses precision mimicry to perfectly recreate the veins, the folds, and even the tiny simulated bite marks of real foliage. Birds look right at it and see absolutely nothing.
It's important to realize that none of this abundant life is possible without the vital caretakers of the forest. Without them, the whole machine would just grind to a halt. You have the king vulture recycling death from the sky, ripping open thick hides that smaller scavengers just can't pierce. Down in the water, gentle manatees graze on aquatic plants, keeping the river channels open so sunlight can reach new growth. And side-neck turtles slowly patrol the muddy shallows, cleaning up and recycling insects and plants to maintain that pristine balance. Today, though, the Amazon's pulse is definitely uneven. Clearings and chainsaws are disrupting the endless green. Uncontrolled fires are releasing carbon that the forest spent millennia carefully storing away. And poachers are stripping the canopy of irreplaceable life. Yet, despite all these severe modern threats, it remains an unstoppable biological engine. The trees rise again after fires, it relentlessly absorbs billions of tons of carbon and continues to pump out massive amounts of oxygen, stabilizing the atmosphere right outside your window. It simply refuses to be defeated. Which leaves us with this final, really important thought to chew on. The Amazon is not just some distant, untamed wilderness. Its rivers directly influence our oceans. Its clouds shape the weather across entire continents. And every single breath of vapor it releases becomes rain somewhere else. The health of this forest is quite literally the memory of our planet. So how does a forest thousands of miles away shape the very air you're breathing right now? Think about that. Because our own survival is intrinsically tied to its relentless endurance.